I was 20 minutes away from signing the final papers for my parents' $1 million dream home when I heard my mother say they never planned to live there with me and the family. Not in anger, not by mistake, not as a joke. She said it softly, almost happily, like she was finally saying the quiet part after years of pretending. My name is Naomi Bennett. I was 39 years old, sitting alone in the guest bathroom of the luxury model home, holding my phone, waiting for the realtor to return with the closing folder. Outside the bathroom door, my parents stood in the grand marble hallway with my brother Marcus and his wife Tasha. They thought I was still upstairs checking the balcony view. They thought the bathroom door was empty. They thought the woman paying for the house was out of earshot. That was why they spoke freely. My mother laughed first. A soft, excited laugh. I still can't believe she's actually doing it. Marcus said, "I told you she would. Naomi always pays when you cry hard enough." My hand tightened around the phone. My father said, "Keep your voice down." Marcus chuckled. "What? It's true." Then Tasha said, "So when do we tell her the real plan?" The real plan. My heart began to slow in that strange way it does when your body knows danger before your mind can name it. My mother answered, "After closing, not before. Once the house is ours, she can't start overthinking everything. Once the house is ours." I stood there in the bathroom, staring at my reflection in the mirror. My cream suit, my neat hair, my tired eyes. The small smile I had worn all morning because I believed I was about to give my parents the greatest gift of their lives. My father had talked for years about wanting a home big enough for the whole family. A peaceful place. A legacy home. Somewhere my mother could host holidays without worrying about space. Somewhere my father could retire with dignity. Somewhere grandchildren could run through the yard. Somewhere I could finally feel like the daughter who made her parents proud. The house was perfect. 6 bedrooms, a wide staircase, a chef's kitchen, a garden with stone paths, a guest cottage, a pool, a private office for my father, a prayer room for my mother. Enough space for everyone. That was what I thought. Everyone. Then Marcus said, "Naomi will expect to have a room here." My mother replied quickly, "We'll give her one at first." "At first?" Tasha laughed. "Not the upstairs suite. That should be for us when we visit." My mother said, "Of course, Naomi doesn't need much. She has her own place." Marcus added, "Exactly. She's just buying it. That doesn't mean she gets to act like she owns the family." I felt the air leave my lungs. Just buying it. $1 million. My savings. My investment liquidation. My years of work. My money. Just buying it. My father's voice came lower. "After closing, the deed will be under the family trust, correct?" Marcus said. "That's what the papers say." My eyes lifted to the mirror. Family trust? The deed was supposed to go into a protected property trust I created for my parents' use, with me as controlling trustee because I was funding the purchase. Vivian Hart, my attorney, had built the structure carefully. My parents could live there for life. The house could not be borrowed against, sold, gifted, or transferred without my approval. That was the document I had agreed to sign, not whatever Marcus was describing. My mother whispered, "And Marcus will manage it?" "Dad and I discussed it," Marcus said. "Naomi doesn't have time for property management. I'll handle everything." Tasha said, "Good, because once we move into the guest cottage, she'll start acting like we're taking advantage." "Move into the guest cottage." I gripped the sink. My father said, "Tasha, we agreed not to discuss that yet." "Yet." Marcus laughed. "Dad, relax. She's already emotionally committed. She won't back out. She wants to be the good daughter too badly." The good daughter. My mother sighed. "She has always needed that, even as a child. If you told Naomi she was helpful, she would carry the whole house." Then my father said the sentence that finally broke something cleanly inside me. "Well, for once, her need to prove herself is working in our favor." I did not cry. Not then. The pain went too deep for tears to find it quickly. I looked at myself in the mirror, and saw every year I had spent trying to earn a seat in a family that only handed me bills. I saw the little girl washing dishes while Marcus watched TV. I saw the teenager using scholarship money to help with family rent because my mother cried. I saw the woman paying Marcus's debts because my father said family must stand together. I saw myself buying medical plans, cars, vacations, school fees, emergency repairs, and now a $1 million house because I still believed generosity might finally turn into love. Then Tasha said, "What about Naomi's name on the donor wall?" My mother said, "We can put something small, maybe with support from Naomi." With support? I almost laughed. That was my whole life in 2 words. With support. Not founder, not owner, not daughter. Support. Outside the bathroom, the realtor's heels clicked somewhere down the hall. My father said, "Everyone behave. She'll be back any minute." I looked down at my phone. Vivian had texted 10 minutes earlier. "Do not sign anything until I review the final packet again. I don't trust Marcus's sudden interest in paperwork." I had almost rolled my eyes when I saw it. Now my fingers shook as I typed. "You were right. They changed something. I overheard everything." Vivian replied almost immediately. "Say nothing. Ask for all final documents. Send photos. Do not sign." I wiped my face, though no tears had fallen yet. Then I opened the bathroom door. My parents turned. Marcus smiled. Tasha adjusted her designer bag. My mother's face warmed into that soft performance she used whenever she needed me pliable. "There you are, baby," she said. "Isn't this house just a blessing?" I looked at her. The woman who had just admitted my weakness was useful. The mother who knew I wanted love and had learned to press that wound like a button. "Yes," I said quietly. "It reveals a lot." The realtor appeared carrying a leather folder. "Ms. Bennett, we're ready whenever you are." My father smiled proudly. "Wonderful. Let's make this official." Marcus clapped his hands once. Finally. I looked at the folder, then at my family. Then I smiled. Not a happy smile. A closing smile. "Before I sign," I said, "I want to review every page." Marcus's smile faded slightly. My father's jaw tightened. My mother blinked. "Baby," she said, "we already went through everything." I looked at her. No, I trusted everyone went through everything. The hallway went quiet. Tasha glanced at Marcus. Vivian's next text came through. "Put me on video, now." So I did. I placed the phone upright on the marble console table, Vivian's face appearing on the screen with calm eyes and dangerous patience. "Good afternoon," she said. "Let's review the documents." Marcus's face changed. My mother whispered, "Why is Vivian here?" I looked at them. Because I almost signed away a house to people who forgot I was close enough to hear the truth. Before I continue, tell me where you are watching from tonight. And if your family has ever used your kindness as a contract you never agreed to sign, stay with this story, because sometimes the blessing you are about to give becomes the moment God lets you overhear the people who never deserved it. I was not born rich. No one in my family was. We grew up in a small house on Cedar Lane with a narrow porch, peeling paint, and a kitchen table that rocked if you leaned on the wrong corner. My father, Leonard Bennett, worked as a warehouse supervisor. My mother, Patricia, worked at a church office and knew how to turn every family problem into a prayer request that somehow ended with me doing the work. Marcus was the firstborn, the son, the promise. The one my father said would carry the Bennett name forward. I was the daughter, the helper, the responsible one, the child who could be trusted, which in my family meant the child who could be loaded. When Marcus forgot homework, I helped. When Marcus lost money, I covered. When Marcus broke something, I explained. When Marcus failed, the family gathered around him. When I succeeded, the family found a way to use it. My mother called me her steady girl. I used to love that. Steady sounded like praise. It took me years to understand it also meant they expected me not to move when everyone leaned on me. My grandmother Ruth saw it first. Grandma Ruth lived 2 neighborhoods away in a small yellow house with a garden full of peppers and herbs. She had hands that always smelled like soap, onions, and shea butter. She was not soft in the foolish way. She was kind, but nobody could push her far without meeting iron. One afternoon, when I was 13, Marcus had failed another exam, and my parents demanded I spend my weekend tutoring him instead of attending my friend's birthday party. I cried at Grandma's kitchen table. "I don't mind helping him," I said, "but why does helping him always mean losing something for me?" Grandma stirred soup and looked at me. "Because they have learned you will pay the price quietly." I wiped my face. "What should I do?" She turned off the stove. "Learn the difference between love and being used. They feel similar when you are hungry to be needed." I did not understand then, but the words stayed. Hungry to be needed. That hunger shaped my life more than I admitted. I studied hard because achievement made my father nod. I worked early because money made my mother relax. I chose business systems because I liked making broken things functional. By 28, I was working in healthcare operations. By 32, I started Bennett ClearPath Solutions, a consulting firm helping hospitals, clinics, and distribution companies fix supply chain problems. By 36, I had become wealthy. Not billionaire wealthy, not private jet wealthy, but wealthy enough that family need turned into family expectation. At first, I was proud to help. I paid off my parents' mortgage. My mother cried in the bank lobby and called me her blessing. My father hugged me with both arms and said, "You did what a son should do." That should have warned me. But I was too busy feeling chosen. I bought my mother a car, paid for my father's surgery upgrade, helped Brianna finish her nursing degree, paid Marcus's business taxes twice, covered his rent once, then again, then funded his logistics startup after my parents swore this one was different. It was not. Grace, my best friend and CFO, watched everything with the patience of a woman waiting for a bridge to collapse so she could point at the missing supports. "You are funding a family fantasy," she told me one night after Marcus asked for another emergency loan. "He's my brother. He is your subscription." I glared at her. She did not blink. Grace had known me since college. She knew every version of me, the broke one, the ambitious one, the heartbroken one, the successful one, the one still answering her mother's calls too fast. She said, "Naomi, your family doesn't ask if you can help. They ask how fast you can make discomfort disappear." That made me angry, because it was true. Still, I kept helping. There is a special pain in realizing your generosity has become the language people use to avoid respecting you. You tell yourself this time they will appreciate it. This time they will change. This time the gift will finally prove your heart. Then the next problem arrives. The next debt. The next tears. The next emergency, and love keeps looking like an invoice. The dream home started as my mother's wish. She mentioned it during dinner one Sunday after church. We were all at my townhouse. I had cooked because she said her back hurt. Marcus arrived late with Tasha, bringing no food, and 2 children who immediately ran through my living room with shoes on. My father sat at the head of my table because he always did, even in my house. My mother looked around and sighed. "You know what I dream of?" Marcus said. "A vacation?" She smiled sadly. "A family home. A real one, big enough for everyone. A place where holidays don't feel borrowed." I looked at her. "Borrowed?" She touched my hand. "Baby, your home is beautiful, but it's yours. I mean a Bennett home, a legacy place. Somewhere your father and I can spend our last years surrounded by family." My father nodded slowly. "I always wanted that for your mother." Marcus leaned back. "That would be powerful, a real estate anchor for the family." Tasha added, "And good for the children. They should know family land." Family land. The conversation floated for weeks, then months. My mother sent listings just to dream. My father said he did not want to pressure me, which meant pressure had begun. Marcus found the house. Of course. A $1 million estate in a gated community called Willowcrest. It was beautiful. I will not pretend it was not. Cream stone exterior, black iron gates, wide driveway, 6 bedrooms, grand staircase, large kitchen, pool, garden, guest cottage, library, office, a prayer room that made my mother cry when she saw it. When we toured it the first time, she held my hand and whispered, "Naomi, I can see your grandmother's Bible in that room." That got me. Grandma Ruth had been gone for years, but her Bible sat in a box in my closet because I had never found the right place for it. My mother knew exactly which string to pull. My father walked through the garden and said, "I could grow old here." Marcus stood near the guest cottage and said, "This could be useful when we visit." Tasha looked at the pool and said the kids would love summers there. I looked at everyone looking happy, and the old hunger rose. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is the gift that becomes family unity. Maybe I can buy not love, exactly, but a place where love has room to behave better. Grace hated the idea. No. That was her first response when I told her. No what? No to the house, no to the fantasy, no to Marcus being within 1 zip code of property documents. I sighed. Grace, you asked for my opinion. I didn't ask yet. You were breathing like someone about to make an expensive mistake. I explained the structure. The protected trust. My parents' life use. No borrowing, no selling, no transferring. Me as trustee, Vivian drafting everything. Grace listened, then said, "Legally better, emotionally foolish. That's not fair. Naomi, you are not buying them a house. You are buying a scene where you hope they finally act like the parents you needed." I hated that. So I called Vivian, expecting her to be more practical. She was. Unfortunately, practical did not mean comforting. Vivian said, "If you insist, we will build walls around this house so high Marcus needs binoculars to see a loophole." Vivian, I am not joking. I know. We put it in a trust you control. No management rights to your father, none to Marcus, no family trustee language, no undefined legacy language, no advisory committee, no informal arrangements. If they want to live there, they live there. They do not own your money through emotional fog. That sounded harsh. It also sounded safe. I agreed. For months, everything seemed fine. Offer accepted. Inspection done. Financing arranged through my cash and investment liquidation. Documents drafted. My mother talked about decorating. My father talked about retirement. Marcus talked too much about the guest cottage. I ignored that. Mistake. There were small warning signs. Marcus asked for copies of the trust. I said no. He said he wanted to understand the family structure. Vivian said he could understand from outside. My father asked whether Marcus could be named as backup property manager. I said no. My mother said, "Naomi, it would make your brother feel included." I said, "He can feel included at dinner." Tasha asked whether the guest cottage could be furnished for their children. I said it would remain general guest space. She acted offended. Then, 1 week before closing, the title company sent a revised packet. I was traveling and barely glanced at it. Vivian asked me to forward everything. I did. She responded, "I'm reviewing. Something feels off. Do not sign early." The closing appointment was set for Friday. My family insisted on coming. My mother said, "We want to witness the blessing." Marcus said, "It's family history." Tasha said, "We should take photos." Grace offered to come too. I told her it was not necessary. She said, "That sentence has preceded many disasters." I laughed. But I went alone. That was how I ended up in the guest bathroom, overhearing the truth. Vivian appeared on my phone screen in the hallway, looking like a judge who had already seen the evidence. The realtor, Denise Carter, looked uncomfortable but professional. "Ms. Bennett," she said, Is there a problem? Yes, Vivian said before I could answer. Please hand my client the complete final packet. Marcus forced a laugh. Is all this necessary? We're all excited, but Naomi gets nervous with big decisions. I looked at him. No, Marcus. I get nervous when people change documents and whisper near bathrooms. His face went pale. My mother's hand flew to her chest. Naomi, what did you hear? Enough. My father stepped forward. Let's not do this here. I smiled. Funny. You were comfortable doing it here when you thought I couldn't hear. Denise handed me the folder. I placed it on the console table and began taking photos page by page, sending them to Vivian. Marcus's mouth tightened. Naomi, you're embarrassing everyone. No, I'm auditing the blessing. Vivian's eyes moved as she read. Then her face changed. There it was. The danger Grace had warned about. Vivian said, Denise, who provided this revised trust addendum. Denise looked between us. It came from Mr. Bennett's office. I looked at my father. He said, I only asked our family advisor to make sure everyone was protected. Vivian's voice was flat. What family advisor? Marcus answered too quickly. Just someone who understands property. Vivian said, Name. Silence. I looked at Marcus. Name. He rolled his eyes. Darren Cole. Vivian laughed once. That was never good. Darren Cole lost his license for trust misconduct 3 years ago. Denise's eyes widened. My mother whispered, Marcus? Marcus snapped. It was just a draft review. Vivian said, This addendum attempts to create a family management committee with Marcus Bennett as managing representative after closing. It also weakens Naomi's trustee authority, creates occupancy rights for extended family, and allows property-related expenses to be reimbursed from Naomi-funded reserves. My stomach turned. Tasha looked away. My father said, That is not how it was explained. Vivian looked at him through the phone. Then you should consider better friends and fewer conspiracies. My mother began crying. Naomi, we didn't understand all that. I stared at her. But you understood waiting until after closing to tell me the real plan. Her tears stopped halfway. Good. I turned to Denise. Has anything been signed? No. Has any money been released? Not yet. Vivian said. Good. Naomi, close the folder. I did. The sound echoed in the marble hallway. My father's voice softened. Naomi, we can fix the paperwork. Let's not lose the house over a misunderstanding. I looked at him. No, my mother gasped. Baby. No. Marcus stepped forward. Don't be stupid. There he was, finally naked. Not the grateful brother. Not the future property manager. Not the family man. Just Marcus. I looked at him. Say that again? He hesitated. Vivian said, Please do. He backed down. My father said, Naomi, your mother has already planned everything. And you already planned around me. My mother cried. I only wanted a home. No, I said. You wanted my money, Marcus's control, Dad's pride, Tasha's cottage, and a small plaque saying I supported it. My mother's face crumpled. That is cruel. No. Cruel is knowing your daughter wants to be included and using that hunger to move her hand toward a signature. Silence. That one landed. Even my father looked down. I turned to Denise. I am not closing today. Denise nodded. Understood. Marcus exploded. You can't just walk away. Do you know what this does to us? I laughed softly. To us. The family. The family. You mean the plan? He pointed at me. You always do this. You act generous, then you control everyone. No, Marcus. I pay, then I read. Vivian smiled on the phone. My father rubbed his forehead. Naomi, please, let's talk privately. We are done privately. My mother stepped toward me. Baby, I am your mother. And I am the daughter you said would carry the whole house if you called her helpful. She covered her mouth. I picked up my bag. Then I looked around the house one last time. The dream home, the marble floor, the staircase, the prayer room, the garden, the guest cottage Marcus had already claimed in his mind. For months I had imagined Christmas mornings there, my mother laughing in the kitchen, my father reading in the library, children in the pool, Grandma Ruth's Bible on a wooden shelf. For months, I had imagined this house as proof that I belonged. Now I saw it clearly. It was not a home. It was a trap with chandeliers. I walked toward the door. My mother called after me, "Naomi, please don't punish us." I stopped, turned. "Mom, I almost gave you $1 million house. The punishment was what you planned to do with my love after you got it." Then I left. Outside, the air felt too bright. I reached my car before the tears came. Not soft tears, body-shaking tears. The kind that make your chest hurt and your hands numb. Vivian stayed on the video call. She did not speak until I could breathe. Then she said, "Do not drive yet." "I won't. Grace is on her way." "You called Grace?" "I value survival." 10 minutes later, Grace pulled up behind me, jumped out, opened my car door, and pulled me into a hug so strong I could finally fall apart. "They knew," I sobbed. Grace held me tighter. "I know. They knew I wanted to be part of it." "I know. They were going to put my name small." Grace pulled back and looked at me. "Naomi, listen to me. They do not get to make you small with your own money." That sentence became the floor under my feet. I did not sign. I did not close. The house went back on the market 2 weeks later. My deposit was mostly recovered after Vivian threatened action over the unauthorized document changes. The title company apologized. Denise, the realtor, quietly admitted she had felt uneasy when Marcus started asking side questions. My family called, texted, cried, shouted, sent relatives, sent pastors, sent guilt. My mother's first message said, "Naomi, this house was my dream. How could you take it away?" I stared at it for a long time, then replied, "I did not take your dream. I took back my money before you used it against me." My father wrote, "You humiliated me in front of professionals." I replied, "You tried to alter documents behind my back in front of professionals." Marcus wrote from 3 different numbers, "You ruined everything. You think you're better than us." That house was going to bring us together. I blocked each number. Tasha sent, "The children are confused. They thought they would have a place to visit." Grace took my phone after that. "No weaponized children," she said. For the first week, I felt guilty every morning. That surprised me. Even after everything I heard, guilt still came like an old dog scratching at the door. My mother had wanted that prayer room. My father had wanted the garden. Maybe they were manipulated by Marcus. Maybe I was too harsh. Maybe I should have renegotiated. Maybe I could still buy a smaller house. Maybe I had overreacted. Then Vivian sent me the full document comparison. Original trust, revised packet, red line changes, every hidden shift, every softened protection, every new management right, every reimbursement clause, every door Marcus had tried to open. I read it twice. The guilt left slower after that. Not completely, but enough. Truth needs repetition when manipulation has been training you for years. My parents requested a meeting after 10 days. I refused. They requested again through Aunt Linda. I refused. Then Brianna called. My younger sister. She had not been part of the closing day, and unlike Marcus, she had spent years trying to stay out of family storms, but staying out had its own cost. "Naomi," she said quietly, "Mom is saying you destroyed her retirement." "What else is she saying?" "That you misunderstood. That Marcus only wanted to help manage things. That Vivian poisoned you." I almost laughed. Of course. Brianna was quiet. Did you misunderstand? I sent her the red-line documents. She called back crying. I'm sorry. For what specifically? I asked softly. For even asking if you misunderstood. That was honest. I appreciated it. Brianna came over that night with food and sat on my couch while I told her everything I overheard. When I repeated my mother's words about me carrying the whole house if told I was helpful, Brianna covered her face. She said that? Yes. I hate that I know exactly what she meant. We sat in silence. Then Brianna said, You know the worst part? What? She probably thinks that sentence proves you are good, not that she is wrong. That one hurt because it was true. My mother had built her life on praising my usefulness while feeding Marcus's entitlement. She did not see it as cruelty. She saw it as family order. A month later, I agreed to one family meeting. Vivian's office. Recorded. Grace present. Brianna allowed. No Tasha. Marcus only if he signed conduct terms. He refused at first. Then came. My parents arrived looking wounded, as if they had been robbed. That made my anger return. They sat across from me. My mother started crying before anyone spoke. Vivian said, Mrs. Bennett, you may cry, but crying will not replace answers. My mother blinked. Marcus scoffed. My father said, We are not criminals. Vivian looked at the folder in front of her. That remains aspirational, depending on how this conversation goes. I almost smiled. My father's face tightened. I spoke first. I want to hear, from each of you, what you thought was going to happen after closing. Marcus leaned back. This is ridiculous. I looked at him. You wanted to manage the property. I was going to help. By weakening my trustee authority? He looked at my father. My father said, Marcus believed your structure was too restrictive. And you agreed? He rubbed his face. I thought once the house was purchased, the whole family should have input. Input or control. He did not answer. Dad. Control, he said quietly. My mother cried harder. I turned to her. And you? She whispered. I just wanted everyone together. No, you wanted everyone together, without telling me my role would be reduced after I paid. She closed her eyes. I didn't understand the paperwork, but you understood waiting until after closing. She flinched. Yes, there it was. Small but real. I looked at Marcus. And you? He shrugged. I wanted the house protected from your moods. Grace laughed once. Everyone looked at her. She said, Sorry, continue being absurd. Marcus glared. I said, My moods? You change your mind. You get emotional. You hold money over people. I stared at him. Marcus, you plan to move into the guest cottage of a house I was buying, manage property you did not fund, and reimburse expenses from my reserves. But I hold money over people? His face reddened. You have more than enough. That sentence again. The family anthem of theft. I nodded slowly. Yes, I do have enough. Enough to stop. My mother looked frightened. What does that mean? It means I am not buying the dream home. Not this one. Not another one. My father closed his eyes. It means I am restructuring all family support. No more open-ended payments. No more emergency transfers for Marcus. No more purchases tied to emotional pressure. Mom and Dad, I will continue direct medical support and reasonable living assistance for 1 year while you plan your actual retirement within your means. After that, we review. My mother whispered, Within our means? Yes, but we planned. You planned with my money and Marcus's control. She looked down. Marcus snapped. So you're cutting everyone off because you eavesdropped? I smiled. You are very committed to making the truth sound rude. Vivian wrote something down. Probably for fun. My father looked at me with tired eyes. Naomi, we made mistakes. No, I said. You made a plan. Silence. That is what hurts. A mistake is forgetting a date. A mistake is misreading a form. You sat in a hallway and discussed giving me a room at first. You discussed putting my name small. You discussed waiting until after closing. You discussed my need to prove myself like it was a tool. My voice shook then. Finally. I was about to give you a home. My mother sobbed. I know. No, Mom, I don't think you do. She reached for me. I pulled back. Her hand froze. Good. Let her feel the space she created. The meeting ended with no hugs, no resolution, no beautiful family healing, just boundaries. Sometimes that is the first honest ending. The months that followed were messy. My parents had to rethink retirement. Marcus's planned move into the guest cottage vanished. Tasha was furious because she had already told people they would be based at Willowcrest. Willowcrest. They had named the fantasy before I signed the deed. My mother stopped speaking to me for 3 weeks. That hurt less than I expected. Then more. Then less again. Healing comes in waves that do not ask permission. My father sent one email. I have been thinking about what you said. We did make a plan. I am ashamed. I read it several times. No excuse. No request. I did not answer for 2 days. Then I wrote, "Thank you for naming it." That was all. Marcus tried to raise money for another business, using the story that I had pulled family funding unexpectedly. Nobody serious invested. The document scandal traveled quietly through relatives and professional circles. People were beginning to understand that Marcus's confidence often came without foundation. Tasha left him for 2 months, then returned, then left again. I stayed out of it. My mother finally called. Her voice was soft, not performative, tired. "Naomi, may I speak?" "Yes. I am sorry. I waited." She breathed shakily. "For using your need to be helpful, for knowing you wanted to feel included and letting Marcus plan around that, for saying we would give you a room at first, for thinking your money could buy our dream but not your authority, for letting my dream become more important than my daughter's dignity." My throat tightened. That was the first apology that touched the real wound. "Thank you," I said. She cried softly. "I wanted that house so badly. I know. I imagined myself there. I know. And I forgot to imagine you there as more than the person who made it possible." My eyes filled. "Yes, I am ashamed." "Good." She did not argue. That mattered. My father came to my office 2 weeks later, with an appointment. Another miracle. He sat across from me and placed a folder on my desk. I stiffened. He noticed. "This is not a request," he said quickly. "What is it?" "Our retirement budget. Real numbers. Your mother and I need to face them." I opened it. It was messy, incomplete, but honest. No dream mansion. No fake family trust. No Marcus management plan. Just income, expenses, savings, debts, medical needs, and a line titled, "Assistance from Naomi, to be discussed, not assumed." I stared at that line. My father cleared his throat. "Brianna helped us write that. I can tell." He smiled sadly, then grew serious. "I thought accepting your help still allowed me to feel like head of the family." I said nothing. He continued, "But at the house, when you closed the folder, I realized I was trying to use your money while keeping you under me. That was so honest it hurt." I leaned back. "And now?" "Now I think a father who needs his daughter's money should learn humility before asking for dignity." My eyes burned. "Who told you that?" He smiled faintly. "No one. Your grandmother, maybe, from heaven with a slipper." I laughed through tears. Grandma Ruth would absolutely threaten him with a slipper. "I am sorry," he said. "For what specifically?" "For making you responsible without making you honored. For working with Marcus on documents I did not fully understand because I wanted the result. For letting your mother's dream and Marcus's ambition matter more than your trust. For calling myself father while preparing to take the house out from under my daughter's authority." I nodded slowly. "I hear you." That day, we built a real plan. Not a $1 million mansion, a modest retirement condo near my parents' church, paid partly by their savings, partly by a structured loan from me with clear terms, and partly by the sale of some assets my father had been avoiding. Their names on it, their responsibility. No Marcus, no Tasha, no guest cottage, no fantasy. My mother cried when she saw the condo. At first, not happy tears. Grief. It was not Willowcrest. No marble staircase. No pool. No grand prayer room. But it had sunlight. 2 bedrooms. A small balcony. An elevator for my father's knees. A quiet room where Grandma Ruth's Bible could sit. And most importantly, it was honest. "This is smaller," my mother said. "Yes." She looked around. "But peaceful." "Yes." She touched the wall. "I think I can learn to be grateful without making things bigger than we can hold." That sentence stayed with me. Marcus hated the condo. Of course. He said it made the family look average. I said, "Then look away." He stopped speaking to me for months. Those were peaceful months. I took the money I had set aside for Willowcrest and did something different. At first, I put it back into investments. Then I kept thinking about how close I had come to signing away power because I wanted to feel loved. How many women had done the same? Bought houses for parents, added siblings to deeds, paid for family businesses, signed loans, funded weddings, covered debts, opened accounts, all because someone cried, prayed, flattered, or said, "You're the only one who can help." So I created the Helpful Daughter Project. Grace named it, then laughed because she knew it would annoy my family. The project offered financial education, legal planning, emotional boundary workshops, and emergency counseling for adult children supporting parents or siblings in complicated family systems. Vivian taught the legal sessions. Her first class was called "Do Not Put Entitlement on the Deed." It filled immediately. Women came with stories that sounded painfully familiar. A daughter buying a house for parents who planned to leave it to the son. A sister funding a brother's business with no ownership. A nurse paying her mother's rent while siblings called her selfish. A woman who discovered her parents had listed her as financial backup in family meetings she was not invited to. At the first workshop, I told them, "Being helpful is not the problem. Being harvested is." The room went silent. Then women started crying. Not because the sentence was pretty, because it named something they had felt for years. My mother attended one session 2 years later. Not as a speaker, as a participant. She sat in the back with a notebook. That surprised me. Afterward, she came to me and said, "I heard myself in too many stories." And I wanted to defend the mothers. I smiled sadly. "I know." But then Vivian asked, "Does your defense require the daughter to keep paying?" I laughed. "Vivian." My mother shook her head. I had no answer. "That question does that." She looked down. "I am still learning." "Yes. Thank you for letting me learn near you." That was a new kind of sentence from her. No demand, no guilt, just gratitude. I hugged her. Not because everything was fixed, because something was growing in a place that used to only take. Marcus took much longer. He always did. The collapse of the Willowcrest plan embarrassed him deeply. Without the guest cottage, the family management role, and the appearance of a $1 million estate behind him, several of his plans fell apart. He blamed me. Then Vivian. Then Dad. Then Tasha. Then the realtor. Then negative energy. Never himself. Until life got tired of waiting. A year after the failed closing, Marcus's latest business collapsed. This time, my parents did not ask me to save it. My mother started to once, then stopped herself mid-sentence and said, "No, that is not yours to fix." I almost dropped the phone. That was progress. Marcus had to take a regular job managing inventory for a construction supplier. For the first time, he had a boss who did not care that he was Leonard Bennett's son. He was corrected, written up once. made to redo reports, forced to learn systems. He hated it. Then he became quieter. 2 years later, he asked to meet. I chose a cafe near Vivian's office. Old habits. He arrived on time. That alone was new. He sat across from me and said, "I owe you an apology." I waited. "For Willowcrest." I said nothing. He swallowed. "For planning around you. For trying to make myself manager of a house you were buying. For bringing Darren into the paperwork. For wanting the guest cottage. For saying you would pay if Mom cried hard enough. For saying you needed to be the good daughter." That one hit hard. I looked out the window for a moment, then back at him. "Why did you do it?" He rubbed his hands together. "Because I thought if I could manage something that expensive, people would see me differently. At my expense." Yes. Clean answer. Painful answer. Good answer. And because, he added, I hated that you could buy what Dad used to dream about. It made me feel small. So you tried to take control. Yes. That is not smallness, Marcus. That is entitlement. He nodded. I know that now. Do you? He looked at me. I am learning. My boss keeps saying I talk like someone who wants authority before competence. I almost smiled. I like your boss. I don't. That may be why he's useful. Marcus laughed softly, then became serious. I'm sorry, Naomi. I hear you. Can we ever, I don't know, be normal? We were never normal. He nodded. Fair. We can be honest. That's better. He looked down. I'd like that. We started there. Small. No money. No business. No property. Just occasional coffee. He paid for his own. Always. That mattered. Years passed. The $1 million dream home sold to another family. I saw photos online once. Children playing in the pool. A Christmas tree in the tall front window. A woman standing in the kitchen laughing with flour on her shirt. For a moment, I felt sadness. That could have been us. Then I corrected myself. No. It could not have been us because we were not those people then. That house would not have made us honest. It would have made the lie bigger. My parents' condo became home in a way Willowcrest probably never would have. My mother planted herbs on the balcony. My father joined a community garden. They hosted small dinners. No staff, no performance, no guest cottage. When they invited me the first time, my mother said, "Please come only if you want to, not because I will be hurt if you don't." I went. She served stew in mismatched bowls and seemed nervous. My father sat at the side of the table, not the head. I noticed. He noticed me noticing. We both smiled. Grandma Ruth's Bible sat in the small prayer room on a wooden shelf. Not grand. Not marble. Just there. My mother touched it and said, "This room is smaller than the one at Willowcrest." I nodded. "But I think she likes this one better." I smiled. She does. The Helpful Daughter project grew faster than expected. We created guides, workshops, legal checklists, family meeting templates, scripts for saying no, property support agreements, retirement planning tools for adult children helping parents without surrendering their own future. One guide became especially popular. Before you buy the house, 25 questions every helpful child must ask. Question 1. Who will own it legally? Question 2. Who will control it practically? Question 3. Who benefits if you are too guilty to read the papers? Vivian wrote that one. Obviously. At events, people often asked me, "Do you regret not buying the house?" At first, I said yes and no. Now I say no. I regret needing to overhear the truth before I trusted my discomfort. I regret ignoring Grace's warnings. I regret thinking a $1 million house could do the emotional work my family had avoided for decades. But I do not regret walking away. Walking away saved more than money. It saved my dignity, my clarity, my relationship with my parents, strangely enough, because a relationship built inside that lie would have eventually collapsed harder. It saved Marcus from another stage he had not earned. It saved my mother from living in a mansion funded by manipulation and calling it blessing. It saved my father from pretending to be head of a house his daughter bought and his son controlled. And it saved me from becoming a guest in my own gift. That is a special kind of pain, one I almost signed. 5 years after the failed closing, my parents celebrated their anniversary in the community room of their condo building. Nothing grand, 40 people, homemade food, old music, a simple cake. My mother wore a blue dress I had seen before. My father gave a short toast, very short. He raised his glass and said, "Years ago, I thought dignity meant living in a house that looked like success. I was wrong. Dignity means living honestly with what you can respect." He looked at me. My daughter taught me that by closing a folder, I should never have allowed to be changed. The room went quiet. My mother wiped her eyes. Marcus looked down. Brianna squeezed my hand. I did not cry. Not then. Later, in the bathroom of all places, I laughed. Because the bathroom was where I heard the truth. And now, another bathroom held the tears of a woman no longer trapped by it. My mother found me there. "Are you okay?" she asked. "Yes." She smiled sadly. "Bathrooms have history with us." I laughed harder. She did too. Then she became serious. "I am sorry again. I know. I still think about what I said, that you would carry the whole house if I called you helpful. I do too. I don't want that anymore. Good. I want you to visit because you feel welcome, not responsible." I looked at her. "Then say that." She held my eyes and said, "Naomi, you are welcome here. You are not responsible for holding it up." That sentence touched a place in me no house could reach. I hugged her. Fully. For the first time in a long time. My father later asked if I would ever buy another family property. I said no. He nodded. "Good." I laughed. "Good?" He smiled. "We are not ready for that kind of temptation." That was honest. Humility sounds like knowing where you are still weak. Marcus eventually married accountability in small ways. Not perfectly, but enough. He kept his job. Built savings. Apologized to Tasha for using appearances to cover insecurity. Stopped pitching family projects. Started attending financial literacy classes, which Grace taught with the mercy of a strict angel. At one class, he raised his hand and said, "What if you're the family member everyone thinks is the financial risk?" Grace replied, "Then start by becoming boring with money." He wrote that down. I watched from the back and smiled. Boring with money saved many lives. The house I almost bought became part of my story, but not my wound forever. Wounds can become wisdom if you stop reopening them for people who deny the knife. I kept one thing from that day. A photo of the unsigned closing folder. Vivian took it after I walked away. In the photo, my hand rests on top of the folder, the marble hallway behind it, my phone screen glowing with Vivian's face. I framed it in my office under a small caption. "Review before you rescue." People ask about it. I tell them the story when they need it. Not always the whole thing. Enough. Because somewhere, someone is about to sign something because their mother cried, their father sighed, their brother pressured, or their family said, "You're the only one who can help." And maybe they need to hear my voice before their pen touches paper. I paid for my parents' $1 million dream home. Or at least, I almost did. Then I overheard the truth before closing the deal. People think the shocking part is that I walked away. It is not. The shocking part is how close I came to staying, how close I came to signing, how close I came to calling betrayal a misunderstanding because the people betraying me shared my blood. How close I came to becoming small in a house I bought. If you are listening and you are the helpful one, hear me clearly. Help is beautiful when it is honest. Help is holy when it protects both sides. Help is powerful when it builds dignity. But help becomes harm when people use your kindness to avoid responsibility. Before you buy the house, read the papers. Before you pay the debt, ask for the pattern. Before you fund the dream, ask who will control it. Before you rescue the family, ask whether they would still respect you if you said no. And if you overhear the truth, do not explain it away. Do not make excuses for people who only speak honestly when they think you are not in the room. That hidden conversation may be painful, but sometimes pain is protection arriving without manners. Walk away if you must. Close the folder. Cancel the transfer. Call the lawyer. Let the dream home go. A house built on manipulation will never become peace just because the walls are beautiful. Today, my parents live in their modest condo. They are safer there than they would have been at Willowcrest because the condo was built on truth, not performance. My mother's herbs grow on the balcony. My father reads in the community garden. Grandma Ruth's Bible sits in the small prayer room. Marcus visits sometimes and brings groceries he paid for himself. Brianna comes often with her children. I visit when I choose, not because I am needed, because I am welcome. And me? I still help people. I still love my family. But I no longer carry houses because someone called me helpful. My name is Naomi Bennett. I almost bought my parents $1 million dream home. Then I heard the truth before closing. And for the first time in my life, I realized the best gift I could give my family was not a mansion. It was the end of using me to build one.